Why do humans like gold so much? Seriously, have you ever thought about what makes gold so appealing to us? Is it something about the way it shines in the light? Is it because it has some inherent value to it? Or is there some greater cosmic purpose to gold that draws us in? Gold has been part of humanity's story for thousands of years. Countless centuries spent trying to find gold, countless more trying to figure out how we can turn other things into gold. What is it about gold that makes us like it? Hello and welcome to Meet the Elements, the series where I explore the stories of humanity through the lens of the periodic table. Today's element is gold, one of the handful of elements that has been known since antiquity. It was hard to decide what to make this video about. I mean, gold has been so pervasive in human cultures that it's difficult to narrow down the stories for a less than 10-minute YouTube video. Through all the myths and legends and real-world history that puts gold at the center of the story, what makes one story worth telling more than another? Which is why I decided to simply look at why we as humans like gold so much. And what's really interesting about that question is the answer really boils down to the chemistry of the element. But before I dive into said answer, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes of Meet the Elements. And now that you've done that, let's go ahead and get into what makes gold so interesting. Like I mentioned, gold is one of the handful of elements humanity has known about since antiquity. Now, we didn't know gold was an element back then, but once it was determined to be one, we couldn't really give the credit of discovery to any one person. Gold is likely to be the earliest known metal to be used by humans. Before iron, before bronze, we were finding gold and making things out of it. Some of the oldest gold artifacts come from the Varna necropolis in Bulgaria, dating back to around 4700 BC. Some of the gold items found were jewelry, weapons, and animal figurines. Even the oldest known gold artifact from the Americas, a necklace found in the Peruvian Andes, is around 4,000 years old. Gold seems to be found wherever humans have been. And the likely reason that humans have been using gold for millennia is likely a result of gold typically being found in its pure form naturally. Unlike most other metals, which are found in the form of ores and minerals, gold is usually found in nature as plain gold. This means early humans didn't need to figure out some sort of extraction process to get access to pure gold. They could just find it and physically separate out the gold from everything else. And then when you add on top of that the fact that gold is reasonably soft and malleable, it's no wonder that early humans were making things with it thousands of years ago. It's easy to manipulate and form the metal with only basic tools. And then of course when human civilization and society evolved to the point of needing money, gold was really the perfect candidate. It could be formed into coins quite easily, but it was still durable enough to withstand everyday life. Gold wouldn't tarnish or degrade through exposure to the elements. And as gold became something that was assigned value and was used as money, the practice of alchemy cropped up. Seeing gold as this divinely pure substance, and all other metals were just an impure form of gold. So under that idea, one would be able to take a base metal like lead and purify it to the point where it becomes gold. One only needed to find the right steps to do so. And even beyond art and money, gold has been used in dentistry, and that use for gold can actually be dated back to ancient Rome. Skulls have been found with false teeth that are held in place with gold. In more modern times, gold is used in electronics. If you're watching this video on a phone, the very device you're looking at has about 50 milligrams of gold in it in the form of electrical connections. Gold has even found applications in the medical world. Gold nanoparticles can be used for targeted drug delivery, finding affected cells and delivering the drug to those cells specifically. So humans have been using gold for thousands of years for jewelry, money, and medicine, but that still doesn't answer the question of why we like gold so much. Well, let's take a look at the chemistry of gold and see if that sheds any light on the matter. And I don't think there's a better place to start than looking at why gold is naturally found in its pure form. And some of you might be able to figure out why that's the case. Take a moment and think about it. Why does gold appear in nature as a pure element? Well, it's because gold is pretty unreactive. It doesn't want to form bonds with anything, which isn't to say that gold can't or doesn't bond to other elements, but those gold compounds are usually quite rare in nature. But then why is gold so unreactive? Well, to answer that, we can take a look at its electrons, since all chemical reactivity will depend on what the electrons are doing. And we can see that gold only has a single valence electron in its 6s orbital. But if gold only has a single valence electron, then shouldn't it have similar reactivity to something like cesium? Well, that's where things get a bit more complicated. See, gold is a heavy enough element that you have to consider relativity when considering electrons. What this means is that the electrons in gold are moving at a measurable percentage of the speed of light, and as such, they behave as if they're heavier than they are. As a result, orbitals end up contracting and moving closer to the atom's nucleus, and this results in that lone valence electron being pulled behind other orbitals, which makes it significantly harder to access for chemical bonding. And this orbital contraction is also what gives gold its characteristic yellow sheen. The contraction puts orbitals at just the right distance for an atom to absorb blue light and reflect yellow light. So okay, gold is unreactive because its electrons do some weird relativity things. That explains why gold is found in its elemental form rather than as an ore. But part of the reason gold has been so useful to humans is its malleability. So what causes that? Well, part of it might be due to gold's unreactive nature. Other metals tend to form a thin film of metal oxide on their surface, and this oxide could then be incorporated deeper into the metal through various mechanisms. This creates an impurity that could lead to fracturing and breaks. But gold doesn't form an oxide layer because it's unreactive. This immediately makes it much easier to work with, as it also reduces the likelihood of impurities. But that's probably a very small contribution to gold's malleability. What actually makes gold relatively soft and ductile is its crystal structure. Pure gold adopts what's known as a face-centered cubic lattice structure. Think of it like this. Start with a cube, put a gold atom at each of the corners of this cube, then put a gold atom at the center of each face of the cube. This is the unit cell, the smallest repeatable unit of gold. It's cubic and there is an atom at the center of each face. Face-centered cubic. You can then take this and repeat it out to build up the full crystal lattice for gold. And what this means for gold is that, first, the atoms are tightly packed together. Second, there are several ways for the items to slip and slide past each other. This is what makes gold as ductile as it is. Ductile enough that you can make sheets of gold incredibly thin. So does any of that explain why humans like gold so much? Do we like gold because it's unreactive and easy to work with? Well, kind of, but also not really. It's actually kind of hard to pin down why exactly we like gold. But the explanation I like is that we like gold because it's pretty. We like it because it's shiny and yellow, and that makes us happy for some reason. But the reason why gold is shiny and pretty is because it's unreactive. It doesn't tarnish, so the shine doesn't go away that quickly. And it's yellow because electron orbitals are at just the right positions for the atoms to absorb blue light. And because gold is so easy to work with, it means we can put it in jewelry and art and use it for money. It's rare enough to have value, but it's not so impossible to find that you won't want to use it. But when you get down to it, we like gold because it's pretty. Thanks for watching. I spent some time trying to think about what I would talk about when it came to gold. I thought about talking about King Midas or El Dorado, or I thought about going into detail about gold nanoparticles. But at the end of the day, I thought exploring what makes gold so special to humanity was the best story. But let me know what you think. Is there a particular use for gold you like, or maybe you have a favorite artifact or work of art that incorporates gold? Leave a comment and let me know. Also, don't forget to leave a comment suggesting the element you want to see me cover in a future episode. And make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future episodes of Meet the Elements.